My purpose here today is to give a little orientation on some of the culture, kinship, and relationships of the Crow tribe, within the Crow tribe, and how this might affect the behavior and the attitudes of some of our people, more particularly our students who happen to be college students at Little Bighorn College. This effort not only began with the students but with the entire tribe many years ago. And we point to the kinship system, the clan system of the Crow tribe, as being unique among Indian tribes in a way that it held us together, probably tighter, and gave strength to the tribe and the family unit more than any other system that we could have adopted. I say that because the Crow tribe lived among a group of tribes that were hostile to the Crow tribe. They were surrounded and outnumbered probably 30 to 60 to 1, and they were hostile with all the surrounding tribes except for the parent tribe, the Hidatsa of what is now North Dakota. We are descended from that tribe, and our ways, our familiar system, our relationship systems are pretty much a carryover from the Hidatsa way of doing things. However, it's been adapted to the environment of the Crow and to the life ways of the Crow. I think one of the most striking things about this system is that we have an extended family. Within that extended family, we have the clan system. The clan system tells us how to behave, how to relate, and how to consider others in our way of thinking. For example, a Crow child, a Crow person, does not tease just everybody. Their teasing clan, so-called teasing clan, is a very small select group whose clan father, the male, is one clan. So the children of that clan are brothers and sisters to the individual, and they're the ones who are the conscience of that person, because any little thing that they might do untoward the ethical system, they are quick to remind you. For example, if you eat too much, they'll remind you of it. If you are too loquacious, they'll also remind you of it. And if you are too shy, they'll remind you of it. And if you begin to take liberties, they'll quickly remind you of it and make fun of you in a process. That's why they are called Teasing Clan. That's one set of brothers. Then on the other hand, your mother's clan is what you are. You belong to the clan of your mother. Having said that, you relate to your mother's side as mother images, and then you relate to your father's clan as father images. From age 1 to 80, those are your clan elders, both men and women. We also have no names for nephew, niece, aunt, or uncle, so that your father's clan are your papas. Your father's brothers are your papas, your fathers. Then your mother's sisters are your mothers. We have no words for cousins. We are sisters and brothers. So your mother's sisters are your mother's brothers are your big brothers, your father's brothers are your papas, your father's sisters are your aunts or your elder women. And then within that system, we have a very close tie. We don't tease everybody. And then when we talked about our father's clan, we call that the clan elders. And the clan elders are the ones who praise us. A Crow individual does not brag. He does not say, I'm the greatest. He doesn't say, I can do this better than anybody. It remains for the clan elders to say that for him. At the same time, his brothers and sisters will relate in a way or a supportive way. On the other hand, down deep in the hearts of your teasing clan, you have good support. Enough so that they call each other grandma, because they say a grandma does not run from the enemy. They stand their ground. So it's things like this that begin to tie in, and I might talk a little bit about how they relate. They tell us that there was no political system in the Crow tribe, and that's not true at all, because you hear about a great warrior who brings trophies and gives them to the poor. You hear about a great hunter among the Crow who comes back with largesse and distributes it to the poor. Who are the poor? The poor are his clan elders. He gives to them. And when he gives to them, they sing his praises because he doesn't brag himself. And when he does that, the more he gives them, the more they praise him. So among the Crow, there's no hierarchy. You start as being just John Doe, but because of your deeds, because of your ability to hunt, to go against the enemy and do these accomplishments, your prestige rises as you do favors for your elders, and the elders praise you. You don't brag yourself. At the same time, your Teasing Clan will say, oh, he's not so great, but it's negative reinforcement. So you have these things among the Crow tribe. I'm giving you a little background, but let's talk about the students that you will encounter. You have a mixture of students at this college. Some of them follow the traditional way to a T. Others practice it off and on. Then others who have been converted to Christianity and other life ways so that they don't practice any of this. So you find all of these. So those that have gone to the non-Indian mode of living, you won't have any problems with, because they're just like any child anywhere in this country, because they go to church, they go to school, they live the American way of life, they listen to rap music. That's one category. The other category is what we call the transitional Indian. The transitional Indian, when among the Crows, will do the traditional thing. When they're among the white people or non-Indians, they'll do the non-Crow thing. Then the traditional Indian, the traditional Crow, will stay a Crow no matter the circumstances. He'll worship the Crow way, he'll worship the Indian way, and most of our worship is all Crow. It comes from other tribes as well. We copy from one another, so that we have various levels of participation in traditional ways, and you'll find this. And when you ask for volunteers, chances are these Crow Indians will not volunteer. When they come into a classroom, there will not be anybody up front. Why? Because of the way they were brought up in the traditional way. Because we don't brag, we don't try to hit the limelight, we just take our back seat, and when we perform, we want to perform just like we've been doing it all our lives, that we're very practiced. So they may be very accomplished, but you'll find times when you cannot draw them out. But when the occasion's right, you'll see them perform way beyond your fondest expectation. I've seen situations where people that I knew were very accomplished in the classroom will go to the back of the room. Even in a movie theater, when you go to a movie, the Crows that come in, watch them. They'll go to the back row. And once they take the back row, they'll observe things and they'll react just like anybody else, but very quietly. There's no open demonstrations of feelings or reactions. But when you put them to the test, they're equal to the task or even better. So I thought I'd mention those things, and the family system is very unique. I was just talking on my way here with another tribal elder. His name is Philip Beaumont. Philip and I were just talking about these things, and we said there are not many ways to single out the Crow way. However, the strength of the tribe, a small tribe surrounded by hostile tribes, survived. They maintained this beautiful land for their ancestry. They protected this not only from their ancestry, but for their descendants. Why did they do that? They were strong. Just a small group. There's a battlefield just down this valley, about 9 miles, where the combined forces of the Sioux, the Cheyenne, and the Arapaho try to wipe out the Crow tribe. They said, today, when that sun sets, there will be no more Crow men. Your women will be our women, and your children will be our children. The battle raged all day, but the Crows drove them off. And the one thing that held them together was this. They were outnumbered something like 10 to 30 to 1 that day, with people who carried rifles, but they stood their ground. And how did they do that? It was that familial and relationship strength of the Crow tribe, because your brother was your brother. Tale after tale is told how one brother was surrounded by the enemy and who braved the odds to go to his side and rescue him. Those stories are abound in that battle and other battles in this country. So today, when we look at these children, they are the descendants of those people. They'll reflect some of the same attitudes, some of the same strengths, some of the quiet strength that's with the Crow tribe that finds itself in this country today, where everybody wants to be, hey, teacher, I know the answer. That will not happen many times with these Crow students, but they know. All you have to do is tap them, understand them, and listen to what they have to say, and they won't be loquacious. You have to dig deep sometimes to get the true feelings, but they are great people because they're the ones who were never hostile to the frontier. They were the ones who were never hostile to the white people. They were never ones to be hostile to the education system. We're sitting on the grounds of Chief Plenty Coups and his home site. And he was the one who said, you have to learn the white man's way. He said, you have to learn the white man's way and excel at what he's doing, because without his education, you are his victim, and with his education, you are his equal. So that's why we are sitting here and talking about the Crow way, because the strength of the Crow tribe is in the familial system and how we relate to another. We show respect. We don't tease just anybody. There's certain ones that we tease. There's certain ones that we pay respect to and say nothing untoward in front of them. We try to be as nice as we can, be on our best behavior. Then our clan elders, they don't dismiss us as being worthless. They say there's worth in every family. There's worth in every person. Enough so that we don't measure wealth by the material things that we have. We measure wealth by the people that we have. You may not have any earthly goods, but if you have a lot of relatives, you are rich. You may have all the earthly goods you want. You might have a big bank account, but if you have no people, no relation, you are poor. That's the value system of the Crow. At this session, I said something about how we have an extended family, and there's certain ways of relating. In the old days, if you were married into a family, you didn't talk to your wife's mother. And if you're married into a family and your wife has a brother, you didn't talk to his sister. That was part of that strength I was talking about. That family unit was the strongest unit of the Crow tribe. And they had this system that was infallible. There could be no suspicion of the old triangle, the old green-eyed monster, so that there could be nothing between your mother-in-law and you, or between your brother-in-law's wife and you, because the day will come when you had to stand your ground, and your father-in-law and your brother-in-law would have to stand by you, and there had to be no doubt, and that was the strength of the Crow tribe. So therefore, we have our way of respect. We didn't say our mother-in-law's name. We didn't say our wife's brother's wives or sister-in-law. We didn't say their name. We didn't talk to each other. That's how strict that was. And then when you grew up, your sisters had their own way of showing their love for you. They didn't come to you and they had no exhibitionists. They didn't embrace you. They didn't touch you. You didn't even look each other in the eye. And that's how you showed your respect. But when you got married, who dressed your wife? Who took care of them? Your sister did. And then with you didn't do demonstrative relationship with your sister. After she gained puberty, you fought and played and everything when you were little. But after you reached puberty, it was an apartness. It was separatism. And you loved them, but then when she got married, it was you as her brother to make sure he had good equipment, good clothes, good horses, those things. And you didn't say anything untoward to each other. You don't mention body parts. You don't mention intimate things. You don't mention embarrassing things in each presence. And that is true to this day. I've seen classes at Little Bighorn College. Here's a young man, fine young man from another tribe, and he went to sit with my daughter, and my daughter got up and moved. So he looked around and he saw another young lady that looked like she knew what she was doing, so he got up and sat by her. She got up and moved. They came to a class that I was visiting. Same thing happened. My daughter and my niece were sitting together, and this young man came and sat by them, and they both got up and moved. And he looked puzzled, so when they were leaving, I tapped him on the shoulder and says, "Not my place." He said, "But you are married to one of my nieces. Just a grand niece, Alpha Old Coyote's daughter." I said, "You're from another tribe." He said, "Alpha and my daughter are sisters because they're first cousins. Alpha's father was my brother. They're first cousins with Crow Way, they're sisters. And then that other woman was my niece also. So those three, according to the Crow Way, are all sisters or cousins. But you are married to Alpha's daughter, so you don't talk to Alpha. And you don't talk to her other mothers also, including my daughter and my niece." And that told us that he was a fine young man, but he didn't know the Crow Way, so he was violating it. And these three could not talk to him because that's their son-in-law. That's their sister's son-in-law. So they couldn't talk to him, but they just get up and move. And to him, they were very rude. But once he heard that, then he understood. So you have to be careful of that. When in class, you want a role playing or something, you and you, they might be related some way, and they won't talk to each other. So be mindful of that.